I was down in Chicago, and I had been working on the Fear franchise, and I got a call from Ubisoft, and they said, would you think about coming up and checking the place out? And I was like, Ubisoft Montreal. I was like, damn right, I'm coming up. And they said, we want you to work on Far Cry. And I played a lot of Far Cry 1, and I was like, this is cool. When I arrived, the team had been working on it for a while, and it had gone through a little bit of reshuffling, and my perception was that we were kind of off in the weeds a bit.
Far Cry 3 was a tough game to ship. We had a lot of design technology challenges. We didn't really know what we were doing. The waypoints leading you are so far away that you don't know if you're heading in the right direction. We were a new team coming together to work on a game that we hadn't shipped before. A lot of the technology was there from 2, but all of the design was kind of new. Everyone was coming together, so we had to learn how to live and love as a team, and also like figure out some of the design challenges of FPS in an open world with all of these systems coming together.
And they were kind of looking for one thing, and we saw Boss, and we were like, yeah, that's it. Lightning in a bottle, and it just kind of grew from there.
When you get the right people in the room together with the same kind of the standard way of doing things mentality, that's when it gets interesting. That's when the conversations become like, holy shit, should we do this in a game? Like, nah, f it, why not, let's try it.
And then we put it in front of Serge, who is the head of creative, and he looked at it and he goes, you have something, and it's gonna be great. So we knew we were on the right track, and then it was about resources, and it was about time, and it was about iteration. I swear to God, the most important thing in dev is iteration. There was always a point that if you give it enough love, and if you put the right people on it, it's gonna be great. And so we just had to prove that.
Please welcome from Ubisoft Montreal, our very own Dan Hay and Jamie Keane, everybody!
Hi everyone, my name's Dan Hay from Ubisoft Montreal, and you are Jason Brody.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Welcome to the world of Far Cry 3, the surprise of the show. Come check us out at the booth. You're gonna love it.
When we used to go to E3 and stuff, we would see like Assassin's Creed with that f***ing mega booth.
What's happening here? E3! Assassin's Creed Revelations! It's freaking huge!
And you know, they would have like 1 million screens, and we'd be like, yeah, they even have better brands of TV than we do. Like, and we were like, feeling like we were in the shadow in the tiny room in the corner with the little door that people couldn't physically fit through.
We had won a bunch of awards, and security was like, okay, you guys have to leave, and we couldn't get the awards off the door, so we just took the door. I remember we were walking down the street, and they were like, there's a big dude with a bunch of awards on a door. What do we do? And I was like, nothing. Just walked out.
Was there a moment when you realized that you have one hell of a game here?
Gamescom 2012.
Up until that point?
We weren't sure. Well, we weren't sure. And so it was the first time at Gamescom we were able to show people the open world and give them hands-on. And a guy came out after playing it on the booth, and he started to give me an interview, and I said 3 words in the entire interview. And he just told me, you know what I did? I did this, and it was cool. And then I did this. I was like, It was done. I wasn't needed anymore.
We knew that we had a good game. Like, we knew that it was fun. We knew that people liked playing it, but we didn't expect to do like 6 million plus units, right? So the game was a lot bigger than we expected, and I think like a lot of people at Ubisoft internally expected the game to be. We got way more data and way more feedback, and the game like had a much bigger kind of footprint on the web than we ever thought was possible, right? There's so many videos that people uploaded of their time, you know, just dicking around in the open world, playing around with systems.
What we learned is that people really appreciated the beginning of the game. And then I think that people loved the open world. And so for us, it's about making sure that we don't put up barriers to entry. I think one of the things that's a danger when you start developing games is that you have this opus in the back of your head that you want to put forth to people, and you want to explain the deep thinking that you've always wanted to get out, and it's almost cathartic. And we need to not do that. We need to absolutely realize that people want to play the open world, and the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line.
This studio, like, we make pretty incredible games, and it's good to have that kind of level of internal competition, because everyone wants everyone to succeed, but everyone wants to win more than the other teams do, right? And when you're in the same building as Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs, huge games that have like huge buzz behind them, it was suddenly very, very exciting to be involved in Far Cry. Instead of being the little brother that nobody really knew what to do with, everyone was like, holy shit, like these guys just shipped a 90. And all of a sudden, like, everyone was looking at us like, whoa, what were you guys doing when we weren't looking?
everybody's now watching us saying, okay, well, you guys could do this, and this is what you should do. And I think one of the challenges of working on Far Cry is we want to be surprising.
We don't really have rules about what we can and can't do. I know that people in the studio get excited when they get to come to Far Cry. Sometimes you sit down to work on a game and you get given this Bible of do's and don'ts. If anyone tried to write that Bible of do's and don'ts, like they would last like 5 minutes in a room before like someone threw something at the screen, and like that guy in his PowerPoint was escorted from the building.
I remember the pitch meeting for Blood Dragon, and I remember Dean coming in and saying, well, this is what I want to do. And I had just been made exec, and I was like, this is cool. And I had this really stupid grin on my face. I was like, this is amazing. It's the 80s, it's everything I want in a game, this is great. And somebody leans over and goes, oh, seriously? As an exec, this is the first game you want to pitch and take to Paris? And I was like, yes, I do, absolutely. And we took it, and they loved it, and you got to give credit for, Ubi's a huge company. And so from the standpoint of perception of, does it have the ability to be nimble? Look at Blood Dragon, look at Far Cry. We want to be nimble, we want to be different, and we want to be surprising.
Let's just take a risk, let's be bold, let's do something that other brands wouldn't get away with. And that's what excites people in the studio, because when they come to sit in our meetings and review the stuff that they have, they get to play a little bit of that escapist fantasy themselves. We don't necessarily set out to be wacky or to be kind of edgy. It's like that thing, right? If you try and be cool, you'll never be f***ing cool. It's just like it doesn't happen.
We had sat down, we started talking about Far Cry 4, and we said, okay, well, it's going to be on an island because an island is brand. And then somebody goes, why? What do you mean? Why is the island brand? I have no idea. Well, we should probably think about that. I cannot for the life of me remember how we picked the exact location, but I'm sure somebody shouted it out and I was like, yeah, that's super cool.
In the back of your mind, do you have 5 other locations you'd like to go to?
Yeah, oh for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think you have Far Cry 5's location locked down?
Not going to talk about that. Our goal is not to take you to a place that's at war or that's violent. Our goal is to take you to a place that is off the map, that is perhaps undiscovered, that is beautiful, but it also can be deadly. And allow you to have experiences that fall well outside of what you'd experience in everyday life. And so in order to do that, we put in hallucination sequences, or we put in situations that you wouldn't ordinarily expect, or we play with reality a bit to make sure that it still feels real and it still feels credible, but that you can go in a direction where we don't constantly have to say no.
It's tough not to get just pure wacky.
Yeah.
And as the series evolves, just take the Saints Row approach.
Yeah, it is tough. I think that's part of my job. I think about the floor, and I think about all the creative talent that's on the floor. And I think about guys like Alex and guys like Mark and guys like Pat. They're a ball of energy. All the gym level had to do was keep the earth in the window. That's all I'm doing here. Keep the earth in the window and make sure the people who are on the team have an opportunity to basically explode, and then I just control the direction.
It's like a dysfunctional family at a meal that somehow we work, even though like on paper the group shouldn't work together. It's like you would never hire these people to come work together, but somehow like we get on like a dysfunctional family and it works, and we get interesting shit that comes out of it.
And you're a family of 500 people.
Yes. It's like a clan. In medieval times, we would be a decent sized location with decent fortifications.
Do you think the Far Cry franchise is sustainable at a 2-year development cycle?
It's a good question from the standpoint of, I mean, the biggest question about that is tech and tools, right? The fact that we're able to bring an offering as big as Far Cry 4 inside of that 2-year window, it's been Herculean, but you get into a rhythm. You get into something that's good and comfortable, and then you try and break it again. So I think I look forward. I have a window into what's going to happen. I'm not going to tell you a damn thing about it, but I think we have really big opportunities, and what I like is that we're being bullish. Every time we put forward an idea, people go, well, yeah, let's do that. It's like, okay, let's do that.
So Ubisoft clearly puts an emphasis on quality, but it also has a pretty solid track record with Assassin's Creed of every year a game coming out. If it takes it, we'll just move all this manpower over to this series that's successful. Do you worry about the Far Cry team becoming too big?
The nice thing about Ubi is that the things that you worry about are quality things. I don't spend a ton of my time worried about the logistics of how it's going to happen because we have the right set of tools to do that. If it becomes viable for us to do that, we will. I'm not worried about it. I don't worry about it. We're going to put it in the oven, we're going to let it bake, and when it comes out, it'll be ready. But I also know that we've got a boatload of people who want to contribute to Far Cry. We've got a boatload of people that have ideas for Far Cry, and they're really, really good ideas.
Do you have any interest in unifying the larger world and creating a larger meta story between all the games and going into the future?
I'm just going to smile at that.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to do.
But, I mean, they are in the same universe.
What I invite is a commentary about that. Players are really smart, and we're listening. So I think that Far Cry is a pillar brand of Ubi, and we're putting a lot of muscle behind it. And we live this, we eat this, we sleep this, we think about it all the time. You can imagine with the number of people that are working on it and some of the brains of the people that are working on it that we have a ton of ideas. But what's important is that I like a Far Cry where somebody starts to say, this is what it's about, this is what it is. And I never, or Alex never, or any of the people that worked on it ever intended it for it to be that. And you're like, wow, they see something we don't. And then see where that goes. But your question is very intriguing and it makes me smile. 3 years ago, if you had imagined or said that this is where we were going to be, and that these are the kind of questions that we'd be fielding, everybody would have been like, yeah, okay, how about you ship to E3 and we'll see how you do. But now it's nice. I mean, I just remember that E3 2011 and how small that room is. The room's not so small anymore, and that's nice.
You kind of miss being the underdog like that now?
Oh, but I think we still are, because we're the same team and we still kind of, we have that mentality, I guess, a little bit. But now on 4, it's like, it's kind of different. Everyone's way more interested in what we have to do and what we have to say. But we're still the same people, so we still kind of have that underdog mentality. That's what I like about the brand. That's why after 3, I wanted to stick around and work on the next iteration to see what we learned from 3 and how we could apply that to 4 and how we could take it in a different direction and see what we could get away with this time.
So could you see yourself working on Far Cry for long into the future?
Yep.
You're happy being the shepherd of the whole series?
I am. Shepherd, wow, I like that. I'm a big shepherd. I don't know if you know this, but I had made a bet with one of the guys on Far Cry about how well Far Cry was going to do, and the bet was at a bar across the street called the Waverly, and we'd had a few too many to drink one night. We had talked about whether or not we could get a 90, or whether or not we could sell X number of units. The bet was for a tattoo, and I lost that bet. So I have Far Cry tattooed on me. And that's something where it's near and dear to my heart. I plan on working on it for a long time, and I can't think of anything else. No, you can't see the tattoo.